Hi everybody. I've been doing some work around the generator. I've got it shielded so no more radiation starvation. And I've kind of redesigned it so as to get the best of the energy out of it. I've also hooked it up to the crystal refining setup, so no more shuffling around with the Stirling engine. On this, I still have not gotten more fuel. I'll be working on that soon. But right now, I'm finally working on a house. By which I mean an actual house on the outside with windows and everything. But I'll be building it with a spiral staircase going down into the underground setup. I have not gotten this thoroughly planned out in my head, so any plans that I might have in my head will probably be changed later. But I do have some specific ideas for this house. They're ideas that will have an effect on the size of the house and the roofing materials, and well, you'll see. Let's just say if it works, it's going to be cooler than just a house. And if it doesn't work, well, I'll be very sad. But even if my plans don't work out, I should still be able to build a pretty nice house out of this. And pretty soon I should be able to share it with you. And spiral staircase. Right in the middle of things. In other news, I've become dissatisfied with my level of EU generation. It's not just that I'm not generating enough power, it's also that I have to keep going down to find lava, pump it up, and then bring it back upstairs. So I'm thinking of something a little more passive, a little more green. A little more aerial. Like a wind turbine. In older versions of IC2, I have played with the old windmills, and they didn't work very well at all for me. But this is a whole new setup, so this should hopefully be a little more useful to me as well. So first thing we're going to do is build up to a Y coordinate of 160. And then we'll hook up our turbines and see what happens. Well, even if it doesn't work out well, what of you, right? I think that's the right direction. Now we want to leave at least 3 spaces of room for the rotor, but I'm leaving 4 because if this works well, I'm going to upgrade to steel. Right now we just have an iron rotor. Okay, so my earlier mistake was that I'm supposed to put the rotor inside here. And output of 251 KU, or 62 EU per tick. Not too bad. I'll just leave these scaffolds in place, because I'll need to climb up here again later on. But yeah, it does seem to be bringing in the EU pretty nicely. I'll have to see how well it's really going once I run out of lava for this generator. I'll still be supplementing with fuel power, but the wind power should work handily for quite a while. In fact, I might put in more of them. Fortunately, I don't have to just settle for eyeballing to see how fast power goes into out of these wires. I have this handy EU reader, and by the way, the interface is a lot better than the text output that it used to give. But at any rate, I'm showing a 76 EU per tick going through this wire here, which has both the input from the windmill and the output from the geothermal generator. But if I click on just the wire that's going to the windmill, I get 56 EU per tick. So yeah, more than twice what I get out of burning lava. Of course, I still have to go up there and replace rotors every once in a while. And the quality of the rotor will determine how often I have to replace it, as well as how much power I get out of it. The iron rotors will last 24 hours in real time, but if I make them out of steel, they'll last 72. Exactly 3 times as long. So I'm going to want to build up a supply of steel. And I could use IC2's blast furnace to make it, but I've already got this setup put together, and right now it's easier for me to generate RF than EU. I also want to put this generator to the test on camera. And see how it does at actually generating large amounts of RF. So I'm going to make some ingots one at a time until I get the energy really low in these RF storages. And then we're going to crank up that generator and see what happens. Okay, so I've got these batteries run fairly low. So that generator is going to have to put out some power to catch up. Now, I actually had a crash between episodes, which forced me to redo making this crystal. So I ended up coming with something a bit more powerful than the previous version. Which, of course, is just fine. But it also forced me to come to the realization that I needed more outputs with the kinesis pipes on this generator in order to get the best power out of it. These wooden kinesis pipes only take out about 360 RF per tick. So this will allow me to take out 1200 RF per tick, plus a little more. Which fills up this pipe pretty nicely. Actually, it fills it about halfway. It can take twice as much as I'm getting out of there now. But I would have to set up more outputs somehow. And that's with just the one crystal. So as it is, we're actually saving a lot of power in the buffer of the generator itself. It's going to be outputting for several minutes now. Or it would be if I had actually charged up the upstairs batteries. But I wanted to turn off that switch anyway, because that way I can use this switch instead. Ah, it actually shut off the power coming in because these batteries were full. And that's a situation that we'll take care of right away. So as I was saying, there's a pretty fair amount of energy buffered in the generator now. So just that one crystal should satisfy all my energy needs for quite a while. And by the time that changes, I should have more crystals built up. Okay, so I have developed a problem. I finished melting down all of the coal into liquid carbon and started melting the iron so that it could be pumped into the alloyer, but the alloyer wasn't taking the iron. Why? Because some of the carbon went into the wrong tank, for absolutely no apparent reason whatsoever. According to a bug report, we're supposed to have the ability to remove fluids from these tanks, but it doesn't say how, and since that bug report was actually posted the same day as the last update, I'm thinking that change is not in the current version. So I'm pretty frustrated and irritated. And there are other ways to make steel. And since they're done by a more established team, I'm pretty sure there are ways that will work. So we're going back to the blast furnace from Industrial Craft 2. And hopefully, with any luck at all, I know what I'm doing. According to the wiki, the black blast furnace needs a maximum of 20 heat units. So supposedly 2 coils should get this thing working, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Let's try just plain iron. Oh, we have red light on the side. And a progress bar. So yes, something is happening. Okay, so the bad news is both ways of making steel take forever. But the good news is, apparently I was just full of nonsense when I said I didn't have that much EU to spare. So I think it's safe for me to say that I can power at least a couple of blast furnaces off of this. More if I felt like building more. And the other good news is, I don't have to use coal to make steel this way. All I have to do is compress some air. So I was thinking to myself the other day that I was getting close to having done this for a year. That is to say, doing the YouTube thing for a year. And that I should see about doing some kind of event, you know, maybe a face cam thing or a viewer's question thing. So I took a look at the calendar to see how long I'd been at it. And actually, that year passed a couple months ago. I started a year ago last March. So I kind of blew off the chance for that. I suppose I could still do it. If anybody has some questions they'd like to ask or requests they'd like to make, I'd love to hear about them. Is there anything else you guys would like to see me do? Any particular mod packs you'd like me to cover, or maybe even tutorials? It could happen. So yeah, I'd like to know what you're interested in seeing. So by all means, help me celebrate a belated first year anniversary doing YouTube. Oh dear. Guess what I forgot? I forgot to put the actual rotors together. I need to move this further out. Oh dear. Well, how about that? This nanosuit armor works. Okay, so now let's try this again. $89 EU per tick. Not too shabby. So, there's our wind power. Next week, I'm not even sure what I'm doing, but I'll try to make it interesting for you. So be sure to try and show up. Till then, have some fun, build something cool, and have a nice day.